Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night number 16 of the overnight feed recaps for Big Brother season 26. A good Saturday to all of y'all. All right, we've got a veto competition taking place today, but before that, we've got to talk about what happened last night. I'll say this. I really thought last night was going to be kind of a slow night. Everyone just getting ready for veto competitions, not a whole lot of wild talk. Well, we had a couple of meetings towards the end of the evening that made it all worthwhile watching the feeds themselves. I'll just call the theme a big alliance meeting and a big betrayal. So we'll talk about that in a second. But before we do that, just as a little bit of a reminder, we had the HOH Thursday night. Cedric is the HOH. We had nominations Friday afternoon, nominated Angela, Kenny, and Tucker. First two, no surprise. Tucker, thinking it was maybe going to be Rubina, but it turns out it was Tucker. I think he volunteered. I didn't see that exact conversation, but I believe Tucker may have volunteered to protect Rubina, is my thinking primarily. Tucker had actually pushed for MJ McKenzie to go on the block, but Cedric wouldn't do that. He's a little bit worried about MJ's power. He had mentioned Rubina instead, which Tucker was worried about because Tucker had mentioned that he thought that Rubina was at the bottom of this girls thing. And so I think Tucker may have volunteered just out of protection of Rubina. But at the end of the day, Tucker is on the block alongside Angela and Kenny. Angela, the target for the week, at least for now. All right, let's talk about, and then the other thing that happened at the nomination ceremony, Quinn did not use his HOH power, which means he has 1 week to go, and then that thing expires. Is he going to use it when he knows otherwise it goes away, or does it put too much heat on and too much blood on his hands if he does use it, knowing now that a few people know about it? I think if Angela heads out this week, there's a possibility Quinn could use it. If Angela's still around, he may just let that burn, as long as he hadn't threatened next week or any of his co-alliance members. We'll find out later. All right, let's talk about the feeds themselves because we do have a lot to talk about. First of all, we had Chelsea with the camera talk. She thinks that Tucker is going to win this veto and come down, and that at that point, Rubina or Leah would go up. I think she's probably right. I definitely think it could be Rubina or Leah going up as a renom. It could be MJ or McKenzie if they want to flush that power. And MJ talked about being a little bit worried about that a little bit later. But Chelsea thinking that Rubina or Leah would go up after Tucker wins the veto. She spent a lot of time complaining about Cam. She's just not happy with Cam. Now, she knows it, or we know that she wasn't happy with Cam and his connection with Leah. She's talked about that for a while. Well, now she's talking about Cam himself, saying he doesn't wash his clothes. He's got stinky shoes. He wears without socks and moldy socks, and he dresses poorly and lack a shower. She's just going off on Cam at this point in time. Jealous much? I don't know if that's what's driving the conversation or the criticism. Could be part of it. I certainly feel like think that him and Leah being tight has not set well with Chelsea. We'll just leave it at that. So yeah, she has a long camera talk complaining about Cam. We'll see how that relationship goes going forward. All right, we got Chelsea and Joe worried that T-Core is getting too close with Chemo and Quinn. We've got this big collective that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but there is sure a lot of infighting and friction between them. I just don't think this thing's going to last. So again, Chelsea and Joe worried about T-Core and Chemo and Quinn getting too close to each other. They do plan to have this collective alliance, 7, 8, 9 people, a lot of folks for this house, but they're going to have the collective meet around midnight 30 at the end of the evening to talk about the veto, what they want to do going forward. So plans are being made for the collective alliance meeting. All right, we've got Chelsea and MJ talking. Chelsea is peeved that she didn't know that Cedric was putting up Tucker as the third nomination. And I'm guessing she may have thought that Leah perhaps was going to go up instead, but she's a little peeved that didn't happen. McKenzie, as I mentioned, she's a little bit worried about, does someone want to flush the power? Is there a possibility that they would put her up as a backdoor? Don't know if you can call it a backdoor, since McKenzie would still have a chance to win her way off the block this season because of the twist with AI BB Arena. But anyway, she's worried that she could go up as a renom to try to force her to flush the power. She's also worried that maybe they would try to force her to use the power in order not to put her off it. She's worried about her position in the game right now. So they're talking about that. We've got Brooklyn and Rubina and Leah and Chemo in the bathroom going over days. Yeah, 16 days. You got a few things you got to start remembering as you do every season. I still remember all my days from my season. I burned into my brain because at the time it seemed so important. So they're starting to go over their memory, their days, things like that. All right, we've got T-Core and Brooklyn talking. There's talk about maybe creating a girls' I don't think they ever use the word alliance, a girls thing, a girls supporting each other kind of situation. But T-Core and Brooklyn certainly having a little bit of a conversation on that. All right, we've got T-Core and Quinn and Kima and Rubina are talking. I think they're down in the bathroom when this takes place. T-Core is saying that she talked to Brooklyn and that Brooklyn would love to work with these four. Again, T-Core, Quinn, Chemo, and Rubina, that Brooklyn would love to work with these four, and that she is kind of thinking that that Brooklyn is kind of thinking that Kenny is the one who needs to go this week, even over Angela. We're going to start seeing more throughout the week of these conversations, I think, about which of those two should it be. Because of the BB Arena twist, I think it'll be just like last week where people may say, yeah, I'd like this. But at the end of the day, whoever's still on the block, we'll just send that person home. But basically Brooklyn does want Kenny out this week and maybe wants to work with these four. All right, we've got Leah and Cam in the backyard. A little more flirting going on. They're talking about dreams that they supposedly had involving each other. Cam had a long, detailed dream that then he forgot about it, or he just doesn't want to tell Leah. But they're talking about being in each other's dreams a little bit. Cam is talking about this idea that Kenny has been talking to people about, that there's this girls' alliance going on. Cam is saying, I don't think that there is one, because if there was, why wouldn't the girls have saved Lisa over Kenny last week? It just doesn't make sense. And he says, and they never work anyway, so I'm not really worried about that, Leah. And so he's kind of poo-pooing it. Well, we just heard there may not have been one last week or the week before. Doesn't mean there won't be one this week, Cam. But he is mentioning that to Leah. Leah, as they continue to talk, eventually says, should we kind of quit talking before people get the wrong idea? They were out by the swimming pool, pretty noticeable. And she said, maybe we should stop talking before people start talking about us. Yeah, that ship sailed, Leah. I think there's a lot of conversation about y'all, but she's saying maybe we should just shut it down for right now so it doesn't become too many people noticing. Well, while she's saying that, meanwhile, Chelsea and Cedric are on the upstairs lounge, and Chelsea is saying that Cam has been fighting for Leah, that it's obvious that he's trying to protect her. Cedric is saying that he thinks that Leah is starting to get on people's nerves a little bit around the house. He's considering Leah as a renom. He is a little bit worried about MJ's power because he sees Leah and MJ being close with one another. So he's worried that if he put up Leah as a renom, how would that affect MJ and what would happen? Question for y'all, and let me know in the comments. If MJ did use her power this week and pull down someone, who would America put up? Who do y'all think America would vote to go up on the block? I guess who we think is the least favorite that's not already on the block. Just let me know in your comment, because I really don't know who would go up. I think that would be quite the crapshoot. Be a lot of politicking online. I know that for certain. But yeah, he's a little bit worried about MJ's power still, but seems like he's leaning towards Leah as a renom if he needs to put up someone else. Cedric is irritated with someone. I didn't catch the name. It may have been Rubina. I don't know that for certain, but he's irritated with someone because they didn't come up to him after the nomination ceremony and thank him for not putting them on the block. He says, MJ, Mackenzie, she came up and thanked me. That was cool. But yeah, this other person didn't do it. Chelsea saying, well, just so you know, during my nomination ceremony, Leah didn't come up and thank me either, Cedric. So keep that in mind as you think about renoms. And she said, and again, just remember that Cam has been fighting for Leah in every room, everywhere, every time something comes up. Cam is trying to protect Leah. With some of that encouragement, it seems like as the conversation goes on, Kenny has really decided that Leah probably should be the renom going forward. Chelsea is saying as well that she thinks that Leah is going to stab everyone in the back except Cam. Anyone else in the house, fair game. She'll watch out for Cam, but the rest of us, we're in trouble while Leah's in this house. She's also telling Cedric that she she doesn't think, because Cedric said, I'm worried that MJ will get mad at me if I put Leah up. And Chelsea saying, well, no, she's not going to get mad at you. I also don't think that MJ is going to use her power on Leah. She'll save it for herself. I think Chelsea's right on that. I don't think Mackenzie would use it. But she said, I don't think she would use it. And at some point when Leah is gone, it's going to force Mackenzie to go elsewhere to look for people to work with. Really, she and Leah are they only have each other. She's saying if Leah's gone, it's going to force MJ to come to me to work together. And she said that will only help us, Cedric. So just keep that in mind. All right, we've got Angela throughout the evening. I won't go through the individual conversations, but Angela throughout the evening, she talked to Kenny out by the hammock, and then she talked to Joseph. I think they were up on the balcony. And then later she talked to Chemo, just trying to integrate herself back with everyone else after being so isolated last week. So she's, again, not a whole lot of strategy talk beyond just saying, I want to be here and I want to work with you. And, some things like that. She was very complimentary towards Chemo. She just said a lot of things about, you're playing great. Everyone loves you in here. I think you're going to go great. I hope you win this thing, Chemo. So we're really trying to buddy up to him. But again, having a lot of conversations throughout the evening. So we're seeing the Angela Redemption Tour version, I don't know, 2 or 3 at this point in time. She tends to do that, blow off a little steam. Yeah, we'll call it that. And then go back and try to soothe things over. So she spends the evening doing that a little bit. All right, we've got Cedric and Joseph are talking. Cedric's leaning harder on Leah as a renom throughout the evening. And she's saying, if not, I guess it could be Rubina, but it seems like Leah may be the way to go. And Joseph saying, I'm fine with Leah. That would be fine if you want to put Leah up. Cedric is saying that he really thinks that no one trusts MJ or Leah. And so if he puts Leah up, probably not as much blood on his hands, other than maybe MJ getting upset with him a little bit. All right, we've got Cedric asking Tucker about a renomination of Leah if it was to happen. And Tucker says, yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm down with Leah going up if there is a renom to be made. I think he didn't say it, but inside I think he's saying, as long as it's not Rubina, yeah, put her up. All right, we've got Brooklyn and Chelsea complaining that Kenny is being weird. A lot of the women have picked up on the fact that Kenny just is not talking the same way. It may be Chelsea, and I can't remember. Someone had said, it's pretty funny that the first 2 weeks we've got female HOHs and Kenny's quiet. He won't talk with anyone. First time we get a male as an HOH, Kenny is going on and trying to form plans and doing all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, there's some women noticing Kenny and worried a little bit about where his head is at right now. All right, we've got Chemo and Tikor talking. Chemo is talking about a conversation that he had with Angela. Remember earlier, Angela kind of kissing up and really complimenting Chemo. He's talking about the conversation with Tikor now and saying, yeah, Angela keeps wanting to know who's making the decisions in this house, who's in control, that she's so out of the loop. She's just kind of curious. And Tikor's laughing and saying, yeah, she thinks we're in charge. And she's saying, well, Angela is kind of this season's pawn. She did it to herself, and that's going to be her position no matter what. All right, we got a big group in the backyard talking for an extended period in the evening, and nothing important, talking about the upcoming veto comp, what kind of comp they think it's going to be, their impressions of first days of the game when they came in the house, etc. Talking about cursing, that I think it's Rubina or Tikor. I can't remember. One of them that doesn't curse. I think it's Tikor that doesn't curse, and no strategy talk. Just people hanging out, enjoying a nice summer evening in downtown Burbank. All right, we've got MJ and Tikor and Rubina talking a little bit about that, how they've been trying to talk to Kenny, and it's just not going well. Again, they're paying attention to that. We've got Brooklyn filling Quinn in on Mackenzie's power. Now, Quinn already knew that she had a power, but he didn't know all the details, and so she's filling him in. But there's still little inaccuracies, because as Brooklyn's telling Quinn about this power, she's saying that MJ can only use the power on herself until the last week, which is next week, and then she can use it on anyone. So the assumption, at least from Brooklyn, and she's passing on to Quinn, is that this week, this veto ceremony on Monday, she could only use it on herself. She can't use it on anyone else. Not really correct. We did see, I mentioned in yesterday's episode, that she'd been a little less than correct in explaining her power to Cedric. Sure enough, she came back today right after a diary room session and said, hey, Cedric, just to clarify, You don't make the renom pick if I pull someone else. America votes, and that's the way. Just thought I'd let you know. Yeah, I think someone probably told her that you got to be true and clean about this power when you talk to other folks. So anyway, but Brooklyn is filling Quinn in on MJ's power. There's talk, wondering if Kenny really owns a food truck. Now, Cedric knows at this point that's not the case. There's other people who are starting to wonder about it as well. Kenny's coming into a lot of conversations at this point in time. All right, we've got the Collective Alliance finally meets. They've been talking about it. This huge group, too huge for the game of Big Brother. 14 people in the house, and you got 8 people in this alliance. It isn't gonna last. It's just a matter of how it falls apart, I think. But they do finally have the meeting up in Cedric's HOH room. We've got Cedric and Quinn and Chelsea and said Quinn again, Brooklyn and Joseph and T-Core and Cam. That's who I said twice. So let's say it. Cedric, Quinn, Chelsea, Cam, Brooklyn, Joseph, and T-Core. Chemo is missing. Chemo decided to call it an early evening. They decided not to wake him up. The rest of them are just going to go have the collective meeting, collective alliance meeting without him. Chelsea had said, I don't know if I want to stay up for what's going to be a 10-minute meeting, but she does. So we've got everyone but Chemo in this meeting. Shoot, almost everyone in the house, but we've got everyone up there except for Chemo in this meeting. Now, what's funny, Brooklyn is new to this alliance. She wasn't included as part of the collective until just now. Joseph talked earlier in the day that he wasn't happy that she got added without him being consulted ahead of time. He's worried that Brooklyn's smart enough player that she's going to know that she's at the very bottom of this alliance. So I'm not sure he can really trust her with it, but a little peeved. So we'll talk about that more in just a second. But we've got them all talking. Joseph really seems to be leading a lot of this meeting. He and Cedric a little bit, but Joseph starting it off. He's saying, look, I just want to make sure we're all tight. We're supportive of each other. Let's make sure that no one nominates each other from this alliance and that we're protecting. He thinks that this is probably the only alliance in the house. Well, it's the only big alliance, but there's certainly other groups inside. But he thinks they're the only one. Cedric is saying, as far as how the alliance is going to operate, he's saying, look, let's just do it like this. Majority will consult on everything. Majority rules. If you don't vote with the majority, you're just going to have to take it on the chin. Yeah, it's just going to be the way it is. The majority is going to rule the day. Well, that's easy to say until you realize that you're not in the majority and maybe low on the totem pole in terms of pecking order, and then maybe not so much. But Cedric's suggesting it should always be majority vote on these things. Joseph is saying he wants to make sure that no one nominates each other. He's saying, look, I think I did that right. He's saying that this week Angela's going to go, and then we can get rid of Kenny next week. Joseph is saying that he thinks that Tucker's going to keep a lot of attention on himself and away from the alliance. So he's saying, well, let's not be in a big hurry to get rid of Tucker. Hold on to Tucker for as long as we can because he'll deflect attention from us. Cedric is saying, look around us. This room is the jury. We are the jury. We'll pick off all those other people for the pre-jury, but we are it. He's saying it's super easy this year. I want to screen capture him saying the game of Big Brother is super easy. But he's saying it's super easy this year. We all need to make sure that we're not tempted by their offers, people coming up to us, things like that. Joseph is saying, look, another thing too, when you're in the HOH, you can nominate anyone that you want to, and the rest of us will be fine with it, as long as it isn't one of us in this room or Chemo. As long as it's outside the alliance, it's up to you to decide who you want to put up, the order and all that. Just don't be picking anyone inside here. There's talk about Kenny potentially blowing things up. And so there's a couple of people saying, yeah, we'll shut that down with Kenny. But they did bring his name up as well. T-Core at one point says she's so happy to be part of this group that she's going to support everyone in this group. Well, we already heard a little bit earlier. There could be some divisions or certainly some preferences for people in this group. We'll see how long all this lasts. So big collective alliance meeting that eventually breaks up. And eventually we have T-Core and Joseph and Cedric are the only 3 left up in the HOH room. Joseph is thinking or cautioning the other 2 that Rubina is trying to pull people together that aren't part of this group, so they need to watch out for that. Joseph's saying he doesn't think that Tucker's really playing that hard. But that Tucker may want the girls out, but Tucker's really not playing as hard as maybe people think he is. He also is saying that MJ is so tired and she's complaining a lot, and because of that, he doesn't think that she's really playing that hard either. So maybe not the huge targets that some other people may think they are. So just kind of leave them alone. They're not playing the game as well as they need to. So let's not worry about them. All right, we eventually have. I think at one point T-Core leaves after that. We've got Joseph talking to Cedric. He's asking Cedric about Brooklyn, saying, no one asked me about her being in the group. No one told me. She just kind of suddenly into the group. And Cedric says, I didn't know she was coming to the group either. It's news to me, Joseph. I don't know exactly how the invitation was extended, but how funny would it be if Brooklyn just kind of wandered up with everyone else into this room and sat down and became a part of an alliance just because she happened to be there while the discussion was being had? I have a feeling it may have been Chelsea. I don't, or T-Core, perhaps T-Core. I'm not real sure, but yeah, they're both a little surprised that Brooklyn has come into the group. Joseph again is saying, how much does she know? I'm worried. Is she really with us, or is she just someone that is kind of here but could spill the beans to a lot of other people? So they're a little concerned about that. All right, eventually we get Joseph going outside for camera talk. He's upstairs in that balcony area again. He's excited with the alliance. It is cool when you get to pull something together like that. So he's excited about the alliance. He says he's going to need to avoid talking to Rubina going forward since she's not part of it. He plans to use Tucker as a bit of a weapon against other people that he thinks he can make that happen. He's saying, he didn't mention Angela. I think he's wanting Angela out first, but then he says he wants Kenny and Rubina and MJ out soon. He wants within the group, within the collective, he's thinking that Cam needs to be the first person to go. I think this whole Cam and Leah thing's just got a few people spooked. So he wants Cam out first on the group. He's saying that he isn't going to play safe or play scared. Well, I was going to make a little mention on here about it's easy to say that when you're flying under the radar and all that. But based on conversations we have just in a second, he's not playing safe or scared either one. I'll give him credit for the self-awareness. We're going to talk about that. He's saying that Quinn is not his final two, that Quinn may think so, but Quinn is not his final two. He's saying he probably would go to the end with Cedric because people don't really respect Cedric. And I think he's suggesting or implying that he's pretty sure he could beat Cedric in a final two jury vote because people don't respect him. So yeah, not going to the end with Quinn, but I'll go with Cedric. I mean, I'll go with Cedric instead. All right, we've got that going on. Cam talking to the cameras a little bit, wondering if putting up, I take that back, not Cam. Cedric is talking to the cameras upstairs before he calls it a night. He's wondering if putting Leah up as a renom could actually save Cam's game, shut down that showmance, shut down some of the suspicions, maybe help Cam go a little further in the game itself. He's saying if he does that, it may also strengthen his bond with Tucker, because if he puts up Leah instead of Rubina, he knows that's going to make Tucker happy. So there may be some incentives to putting Leah on the block. He's saying if he puts up Rubina instead of Leah, then Tucker might come for him, and he does not want that. So again, it seems like Cedric's leaning towards a Rubina renom. We're assuming that someone who's on the block is going to win this veto. And it's very possible when three people on the block, when half the people competing in a veto competition are on the block, it makes it that much more likely that the veto will be used. So again, he's leaning a little bit towards Leah at this point in time. All right. Remember I talked about the big alliance, and then I talked about the big betrayal. Yeah, we got a big betrayal, it seems like, taking place here. I'm sure it's a relative term. Some people may call it covering all your bases. Others may call it a betrayal. But we've got Tucker in the bathroom downstairs coming in, complaining. At one point, Joseph runs into Chemo, and then Chemo's gone. Tucker comes in complaining that he can't sleep. It's too hot in this house. He just can't sleep. And he runs into Joseph in the bathroom. Joseph, the one who led the alliance meeting, who talked about how important it is that we protect each other and don't nominate each other. Joseph is now telling Tucker all about the meeting upstairs. He's telling Tucker everyone's names who were in the meeting upstairs. He tells Tucker, says, look, just so you know, my friend, you're the target. You are the target. I don't know if he says you're the target now, you're going to be a target, but he says, you're going to be a target. You need to win next week's HOH, Tucker. I'm just telling you, being the nice, loyal friend that I am, I'm telling you, Tucker, you need to win this next HOH. Joseph is also saying that Brooklyn was added without his knowledge, that she's the brains of the operation. It's not Joseph. It's not Cedric. It's not Chelsea. Brooklyn is leading this group, who is just added. So he's definitely throwing Brooklyn under the bus. Joseph is saying that he's trying to protect Tucker by giving him this information, that his biggest concerns right now in the game are Chelsea and Brooklyn. He's really throwing Brooklyn under the bus. That his biggest concerns are Chelsea and Brooklyn at this point in time. But he's also telling Tucker that either Leah or Rubina are probably going to be the renom in case a renom needs to take place. Joseph and Tucker are both saying they both feel pretty tight with T-Core as far as that goes. And Joseph's saying, yeah, I understand. He says, I feel tight with Leah as well. Kind of tough if I have to renom her, but I do feel tight with Leah and T-Core. Tucker is saying, I feel tight with T-Core and Rubina. So they're some of the people they want to protect. But Joseph, remember, he threw Brooklyn under the bus. Now he's throwing Rubina under the bus a little bit. Joseph is saying, look, Rubina is trying to start some kind of underdog alliance, and Tucker, you're not an underdog, so you may not be part of this group. And Tucker saying, yeah, they're going for a girls' alliance of some sort. He says, but it's something as well that Rubina's talked about, something with her and me and T-Core and Quinn, this extra little group. He said, I'm aware that she's trying to do some things. So he's trying to kind of defend herself a little bit or counter what Joseph is saying. I'm wondering, as Joseph throws Rubina under the bus, is he trying to maybe create a little bit more division between Tucker and Rubina in hopes that maybe he can pull Tucker in a little closer to him? I don't know. It may be a little early to make too much speculation, but certainly Joseph had just gotten through saying that he was going to turn Tucker into a weapon. I didn't realize it was a weapon against his own alliance. So again, is Joseph covering all his bases? I guess he is, but Joseph Benedict Arnold, the house guest, is certainly giving a lot of information to Tucker. We'll see how that plays out. It could be a brilliant strategic move if it works correctly. Gets Joseph to the end, gives him a fantastic thing to talk about at Final Two and jury and all that. It's also the kind of move that if it gets back to anyone in the collective alliance and they find out about, could absolutely destroy your game and end it very prematurely. Don't be so certain, Joseph, that your jury, much less Final Two, Final Five, or anything else. A dangerous game that Joseph is playing, spreading this news to Tucker. How's Tucker going to handle it? Tucker seems like he can get a little bit focused on people as well, and if he feels like everyone's gunning against him, we'll see how it works out. An exciting evening at the end with these conversations. So again, Big Alliance is formed. Well, it's been around. They just haven't really met before. The Big Alliance meets, has their huge kumbaya session. Everything seems perfect. And just an hour or so later, Tucker or Joseph's blowing the whole thing apart to some degree. It makes for an exciting next couple of weeks. I will say that. And with that, I think everyone finally in bed by 2:30 or so Big Brother time. Getting up super early, I think, for today's veto draw. We'll see. Brooklyn and Joseph played in the last two vetoes. We'll see if Luck is their champion and they play in a third one. If they get picked again and no one else does, they're going to be looking through that box to see if there's any chips that say anything but Brooklyn and Joseph. But we will have the veto draw today, the veto competition. I assume it's taking place today. So as of tomorrow, we'll know who's won veto. We'll know whether there's a chance of a renom taking place, and then let the games begin yet again. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Saturday. Until tomorrow morning, SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.